Hello everyone, I'm Alex from E2 Language, and in this class we're talking about IELTS writing, all about linking words. So let's go. Now we're going to start with two sentences. So absolute basics. Here they are. First sentence. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal. And my second sentence, solar panels can be expensive to install. So I've got here two sentences. Solar power is environmentally friendly. That's something good. Solar panels can be expensive to install. That's something bad. So the relationship between these two sentences is contrast. Yeah. So I want to express that contrast by using the linking word. And there are lots of different ways to do it. So already you're probably thinking of some of them. Let's start with maybe the most basic one, the word but. So we can use but to join these two sentences together, like this. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal, but panels can be expensive to install. Okay. Notice that I've removed that second solar because it's a bit repetitive. So I've got comma and but. So but is one way to show the relationship between these two sentences and in fact to join them together. There are other words that do the same thing. Can you think of some other words? Maybe a word that pops into your mind is although. Okay? And we can use that in a similar way, not the same but similar. Although solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal, comma, panels can be expensive to install. So here I've got my conjunction, my linking word at the start of the sentence. So different to the example with but. Although, blah, 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 comma, blah, blah, blah. And interestingly, we can flip this sentence around like this. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal, although panels can be expensive to install. So although and but are sort of doing the same job, but we use them differently. Okay, so what is that difference? Let's have a quick look. This is although, so conjunction at the start, comma in the middle. This is a subordinating conjunction. It's a big word, but it's not all that complicated. And luckily we have a whole video about subordinating conjunctions and complex sentences. Just click the link on your screen now. Basically what it means is that you can take that sentence and flip it around. So your subordinating conjunction can be at the start or it can be in the middle. And this is quite different to this sentence with but. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal, but panels can be expensive to install. With this word, we cannot flip it around. So but is not a subordinating conjunction. It is a coordinating conjunction. The good news is there's only 7 of them, so they're really easy to learn, and we cover all of that in the subordinating conjunction video. So we've got coordinating conjunctions, we've got subordinating conjunctions. Is that it? Well, afraid not. There is another family of linking words, and you already know them, but you might have them confused with conjunctions. Okay, so I'm talking now about a word like however. Okay, and we can also use however to join those two sentences to show a relationship rather, but it's different to although, different to but. So those 3 words have the same function basically, but we use them differently. So how do we use the word however? Let's find out. Here are the 2 sentences again, all about solar power, solar panels, but I want to show the relationship with this word however. There are actually many different ways to use however. So let's start with the first one, which is using a semicolon. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal, semicolon, however, comma, panels can be expensive to install, semicolon, however, with a small h and then a comma. So this is the first way that you can put sentences together or put ideas together with however. Notice it's not a comma, it's a semicolon. There's a big difference. Another thing we can do is use a full stop. Full stop after coal, capital H now, and a comma after it. So notice these sentences are not connected, but however is telling me something about the relationship. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal. Full stop. However, panels can be expensive to install. Is there another way to use this word? Yes, there's a couple more places we can put it in a sentence. We can move it away from the beginning. Solar power is more environmentally friendly than coal. Panels can, however, be expensive to install. We look at this a lot in our writing classes. Those of you who come along to the E2 language live class sessions will be really familiar with this use of however. And actually, it's a really good way to boost your score in coherence and cohesion if you can move your linkers away from the beginning of the sentence. By the way, you can also use this without commas. Panels can, however, be expensive. Depends a little bit on how long the sentence is, basically. Final place that the word can go is at the end. Panels can be expensive to install, however. This is a bit less common. We don't often put the adverbs at the end, but it's possible. So there are 4 ways to use however. Like this with a semicolon, like this with a full stop, here away from the beginning of the sentence, and here right at the end of the sentence. So I said that however is not a subordinating conjunction, not a coordinating conjunction. So what is it? We call it a conjunctive adverb. And there are lots of other conjunctive adverbs, and all of them show a relationship between ideas. So however, of course, shows contrast. But if you look at the table on your screen, here are some other functions. Some of the adverbs show time or sequence, some of them addition, some cause and effect. So I'll give you one word from each of these functions. So a word like meanwhile, that indicates time, something happening at the same time. We've got addition, in addition, so different to the conjunction and, this is an adverb, in addition. Cause effect, something like therefore, contrast, however, emphasis, indeed. Summarizing something, we can use finally, to illustrate, for example, and to compare, likewise. Now notice that it's not always just one word. Sometimes it can be a little phrase. So here's a list of a whole range of conjunctive adverbs. I'll put that on the screen. Now they're probably pretty familiar to you, but I want you to just take 1 minute and organize these adverbs into their function. Time's up. How did you go? This is where they all belong. Now, grab a screenshot, write it down, or you can click the link in the description and download your own copy of this table. So that's where they go, that's their job, but let's practice using them. That's the main point, right? We're just going to practice 3 really common adverbs. Okay, we're going to use therefore, however, and for example, and I want you to practice using them in the correct way with the correct punctuation. So grab a pen and paper, and let's do it. We're starting with however. This is an easy one because I've already shown you a bunch of examples. So let's have a go with another couple of sentences. Sentence 1, some children dislike participating in competitive sports. Sentence 2, these activities can bring great benefits, not just physically, but also socially and psychologically. So sentence 1, sort of negative, some kids don't like it. Sentence 2, but it's really good for them. Okay, so we're going to join these together with the word however. Can you remember the ways to use however? So the first one is with a semicolon. Pause the video now and write the whole thing, first sentence and second sentence. Use however, use a semicolon, make sure that your grammar is perfect. Go for it. Here's the answer. Some children dislike participating in competitive sports, semicolon, however, comma. What about the other way with a full stop? So same thing, do it again. When we do these kind of activities in class, some people just write sports, full stop, however, but really that's not going to help you remember how to use it. I would encourage you to pause the video, write the whole thing, the first sentence and the second sentence, to really help you remember the correct use of this word. So on test day, you don't lose points because your capital letter is wrong or your comma is in the wrong place. So pause the video, write it out with full stop. The answer? Some children dislike participating in competitive sports, full stop, capital letter, comma. And finally, can you have a go now at putting however inside that second sentence? Okay, so first sentence doesn't need to change at all, but that second sentence, move however away from the beginning. Pause the video, do it now. Here's an example. Some children dislike participating in competitive sports. These activities, comma, however, comma, can bring great benefits, not just physically, but also socially and psychologically. Beautifully done. Now that we've mastered however, let's have a look at another word. Therefore. I'm going to go through those steps again. First sentence, cities are expanding at a rapid rate. Second sentence, forests around cities are being cut down to provide land for housing. That's fine, but I want to add a little bit extra complexity to this sentence, which often results in habitat destruction and species loss. Okay, so now I've got these two sentences and the relationship is not contrasting here. The relationship is cause and effect. So really, cities are growing, so forests are blah, blah, blah. So that's the relationship that we're showing. That's why we're going to use the word therefore. So over to you. Pause the video now and write those sentences out using therefore with a semicolon, with a full stop, and move it inside the sentence. Go for it. So hopefully your answers look like this. Cities are expanding at a rapid rate, semicolon, therefore, comma, with a full stop, capital letter, don't forget that, don't forget the comma, and inside the sentence, forests around cities are therefore being cut down to provide land for housing, blah, blah, blah. You could put two commas around therefore in that sentence as well. Final thing to look at, something you probably use in every IELTS essay, for example. So let's see our sample sentences for this. Some fast food companies deliberately target children in their marketing. McDonald's uses popular cartoon characters to promote their Happy Meal to young consumers. Okay, so we have our first sentence and then we have an example in the second sentence. Okay, but to show that relationship better, I want to use the phrase for example. So same as before, pause the video and write these sentences in those three different ways. Go for it. How did you go? It's easy, right? Let's check. Some fast food companies, blah, 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 semicolon, for example, comma, with a full stop, that's easy, full stop, capital F, comma after example. And in the middle, McDonald's, for example, uses popular cartoon characters. And that's three easy ways to use that phrase accurately in your IELTS writing. So all of that was probably a bit too easy because I gave you everything. I gave you the sentences and the linking word. I want to set you a final challenge, which is a little bit more difficult. And I'm inviting you to put your answers in the comments below. I will check the first few people who do it. Otherwise, you're welcome to check each other's and provide feedback. So what I'm going to do is give you 3 sentences and instructions for the next sentence. Okay, so the first one, here's the sentence. Many video games contain violent content which can be unsuitable for young children. I want you to add the next sentence. So add another sentence and use however. Okay, so you have to think of a logical next sentence to follow that first sentence, and the relationship has to be contrasting. All right, so think about the logic as well as the grammar. Number 2, first sentence, plastic waste often ends up in the ocean where it can entangle marine life and lead to disease and death. Okay, that's our first sentence. I want you to add the next sentence and use therefore. So give me a sentence or a situation which has a cause-effect relationship. Okay, so think about so. Third one, some artists have had a profound impact on society. Your job, add the next sentence and use for example. So think here about a specific artist who had an effect on society. Now, with all of these, of course, I would recommend try to use a combination. Use semicolon, make a sentence with a full stop, and for at least one of them, move the linker away from the beginning of the sentence. So over to you. This is your challenge. Pop it in the comments below. Good luck. If you want to study with me or any of our wonderful E2 expert teachers at e2language.com, simply go to the website, sign up for free, and I'll see you in class. Bye.